and you can see kind of by the way I've positioned these machines, is what we're going to do is we're going to take a number and we're going to run it through this first machine, and the answer we get out we're going to take and drop directly into my second machine. So whatever answer I get out of the first one, I'm going to take that answer and drop it into the second one. And just for fun, I'm going to name this one F and this one G. And let's program this one with an x squared and this one with a 3x plus 1. Now, the symbols and the notation for something like this looks like this, a composition of functions. F of G, and let's run a 2 through this. How about a negative 2? That'll be fun. We'll try a negative 2. We're going to take a negative 2. We're going to drop it into this machine first, get an answer. It comes out. Our answer is going to drop directly into the next machine, and we're going to run it through there. And I'll show you what that looks like algebraically rather than with pictures. Sometimes instead of seeing this symbol, F of G of negative 2, you may see it this way, F of G of negative 2. And again, what that represents is that we're going to take the negative 2, we're going to run it through the G function first, and then we'll take our answer from that and plop it into the F. Okay? So, and I'm going to do this in 2 steps on this first problem, and then on the next problem I'm going to show you how we kind of combine that algebraically. But for this first problem, what I'm going to do is you see that the first thing that has to happen is that I'm finding G of negative 2. That's my first step. So in order to find G of negative 2, I'm putting negative 2 in place of the x up here in my G function, x squared. Negative 2 squared gives me 4. That is my answer for G of negative 2. I take that now, that comes out, and it's going to drop into my next function. So the next function I'm working with is f of 4. 4 is going into my F machine. And now I have to figure out what comes out. What's my output for that? And I get a 13. So F of G of negative 2 equals 13. And in demonstrating it this way, you can kind of see the 2 steps. You can see that we took the answer from here, plopped it in here. Similar to this. Working with it algebraically, we may write it slightly different. So for example, if I had, let me just show you symbolically how it might look different, although it's the same process. G of negative 2, I'm going to put the negative 2 in for, just go back to my machine, the x squared. So f of G of negative 2, my equation for G was x squared, and I'm putting the negative 2 in where the x was. Still have the f here to show that I'm going to take that answer and now plug it into my f equation. My f equation again was 3x plus 1. And you can see that we end up at the same spot. Symbolically a little bit different. This I'm showing you each little step. This one combines them. Okay, now let's have you try a few. Let's go ahead and continue working with these 2 equations. We're going to continue working with our f of x is x squared. And we're going to work with our g of x was a 3x plus 1. But I want you to give a try here. We're going to do f of g of 3. That will be our first problem for you to try. Remember, this means the same thing as f of g of 3. Now let's reverse it. Let's do g of f of negative 2, which means that we're kind of reversing the order on you here. You're going to have to run a negative 2 into the f equation first. You're going to have to rearrange your machines a little bit in order to do this. This order is different. Number 3, here's a tricky one. I think you'll figure it out. F of 2 means that we're going to take this 2 and run it through our f equation, get an answer, and then run it back through the same equation. So you're going to try that one. And then the last one that I'd like you to give a try, we'll do f of g of x. So this time, you're going to take the entire g equation and take it and run it through your f equation. All right, so those are the 4 problems I'd like you to try. Go ahead and give those a shot. Okay, now go ahead and take your answers, and I'd like you to compare those with a partner. Check your work, see if you got the same things. Okay, and at this point you have your teacher will give you an assignment on combining and composition of functions. We will pick up with functions again tomorrow.